In this video we're going to have a look at the join module in Loadit. Now the join module allows us to merge datasets horizontally in Loadit. So the best way to visualize that is by way of an example. So suppose we had some data like this that lists out some people and their age and their name and a corresponding ID value for each record. And we have a separate set of data with the ID values and the corresponding department that the person belongs to. And we want to merge these two records together using the ID as a sort of common key between the two data sets. So the join module allows us to do that and produce a horizontally merged data set. So let's have a look at how you'd go about doing that in Loadit. Now I've got three data sets here. The first is a list of staff with the staff ID, first name, last name, email address, branch and the pay code. I've got a list of branches in this data set and the sort of corresponding region, area information that those branches fit into. And then lastly I've got a list of pay codes here and the corresponding hourly rate. So my objective here is to join all three of these together into one data set. So I'm going to use the join module and I'm going to tell it to pull in all three of those as inputs. Okay, so the first thing we see is a list of all of the joins that are defined in this module. Obviously there's none at the moment, so I'm going to add one in, and what we see here is the list of available modules that we can select to join together. Now you're always joining two data sets together at a time. You've got one on the left here, and we've got the staff data selected, and you've got the one on the right, and we've got the branch structure data selected, which is by default actually the one we want. Now I'm going to select the branch column on the left and tell it to join that with the branch column on the right. By pressing the add button, it adds it to the list of join criteria, the list of columns to sort of to join the data on. Now I've only got one join criteria here, but you might have multiple columns that you want to join on, and that's fine. You can add as many of these joins as you need. And then I can also specify which columns I want output from once the join has taken place. You've got the two left and right hand data sets, data sources here, and the corresponding available fields. And I'm going to leave branch deselected here because I've already selected it from the staff data set. And then lastly we just need to give the output a name. We'll see why this is important a bit later on. And if I press OK, you'll see that that join definition has been added to the list of joins for this module. If I press OK for now, you'll see that Loadit has joined together the staff data, which runs to here, and then it's added on the branch structure data in the three columns on the right hand side, and the output data set is the name of the data set is A, which is the name that we gave it a minute ago. Okay, so let's have a go at joining the staff data to the pay details data. I'm going to add another join. This time I'm selecting the staff data and joining it to the pay details data, and we're using pay code as a common key between the two. Again, I'll select all of the columns from the left hand data set and just the extra columns from the right, and I'm going to call this output B for now. So if I press OK, you'll see that we've got 10 records output in output B. We'll come back to why that's 10 in a minute, but we see we've got 10 staff here, the pay code and their corresponding hourly rate. If we go back to the staff data, you'll see that you've got this person here who's got a pay code of P4, and in the pay details data there is no P4 pay code. So when you look at the output, that person has dropped out because there's no corresponding join. Now the reason for that is when we added our join, by default it does something called an inner join. You can see that selected here on the right hand side. And an inner join means that there needs to be a record on both the left hand side and the right hand side that needs to join in order for there to be a record output in the output dataset. Now supposing that's not the behaviour we want to actually output all staff regardless of whether or not they have a matching pay code. So if I remove that join and then re-add it, but this time I'm going to add it as a left join, and that means all of the columns, all of the records from the left hand data set, so this staff data set here, need to be returned irrespective of whether or not they have a corresponding field in the right hand data set. So I'll leave the other selections as they were, press OK, and now you see we've got 11 records returned, and there we have Peter Brown here, pay code P4, and then the hourly rate is just blank because there's no corresponding record. And so there are two options along those lines. So you've got if I just remove this, you've got the inner join which we saw first, the left join which we've just seen, and you've got a right join which is the opposite to the left join. It means that all of the columns in the right hand side, all of the records in the right hand side data set should be returned irrespective of whether or not they've got a match on the left hand side. Just need to add that back in like so. So at this stage we've got all three data sets sort of joined together, but this isn't really what I want because I'm getting the first join returned as one data set and the second join returned as a separate data set, when actually I want all three returned together as a single data set. So if we go back into our editor here, we can see that for the second join we used the staff data set as the input on the left hand side. So instead of doing that, I'm going to select the dataset that is produced as a result of the first join. So if I select the join module, which is this module, I can see that my dataset A is now available for selection. So if I select that dataset and join on pay code, same as before, and select the columns from A that I want, you'll see that what is returned in B is now all of the columns, so all three datasets merged together, which is great. So this is the dataset I'm after. This is the thing I was trying to achieve. But there's one last remaining problem, which is that we're getting both A and B returned as outputs from this module, when A was really only a sort of an internal step on the to allow us to achieve B. So what I'll do is if I go back into here and edit that join, I can deselect this including output, and that means that the join happens, but it isn't output. It's just happening internally, and then it's just there available for the second join. So if I press OK, you can see we've got 11 records returned, and we just got the one dataset B, which is the one I was trying to achieve, which is great. So that's just a very quick overview of the join module. If you want to find out more information, have a look at our website, or feel free to get in touch.